Hello and welcome to the show. I am here on Forza Horizon 3 today answering the most important question about this game. And that is, can you build a jelly car? It's always the first thing I want to do when a new Forza game comes out, see if I can make these vehicles roll over. Now, to have a proper jelly car, the vehicles must be able to roll over completely unassisted through cornering. Yes, there is plenty of bumpy off-road terrain that you can throw vehicles around and make stuff roll over, but for a proper jelly car, it must be able to roll over by simply going around a corner, and as slower a speed as possible. If we can get it to roll over when it's doing like 14, 15 miles an hour just by going around a corner, that is a very, very big win for a jelly car. I think a good place to start, well, we might as well take a look at some of the new vehicles to Horizon 3, so the Ford Super Deluxe Station Wagon. I have gone through and built these cars up, because I don't think you want to see me putting on the same upgrades to a whole bunch of vehicles. So most important is tyres. Now, to get the jelly cars to do what they do, we need to have as much grip as possible. So, we've got the race compound tyres. My slight concern is that, unlike on the motorsport series of games where you have, full slick racing tyres, these are still, well, you can just about, so we can see on the picture, I'm trying to see if we can show it on the car, they are slightly treaded tyres. They're perhaps not going to have quite the same ultimate grip as the slicks, but they're going to have to do. Equally, you're going to want as much tyre width as possible. Now, this station wagon, only 245 tyres. I think they're 245 all around. They are 245. They're okay. They're not the biggest tyres possible. However, on the plus side, another key factor in all of this is the suspension. Now, having off-road springs and dampers good, we need as much ride height as possible. We need the centre of mass for our vehicle to be as high up as possible. That makes rolling it over considerably easier. And looking at this, I've got some positive vibes that this is going to roll over quite nicely. You'll also notice I've got the roll cage. We want the chassis to be as stiff as possible in some places, so if the car does go up on its side, we don't want there to be any flex at all. Again, we're encouraging it to roll over. I have also got the sort of race anti-roll bars installed. The reason being, though, because I want to set them as soft as possible, again, to give the car as much chance to get up onto its side. Can play around with anti-roll bars. Some vehicles, very oddly, you have to have incredibly stiff anti-roll bars for it to work. Some have to have very, very soft anti-roll bars. It does, certainly on previous games anyway, I don't know what we're going to find on here. It does sometimes depend on the vehicles. But, yeah, you will also notice we're up in S1 class. That's because I put the V10 into this. Now, we don't need ludicrous levels of power. We don't need to necessarily be going very fast to make the vehicle roll over. But I like having plenty of power available so that, we can accelerate in a short space of time, if need be. That's kind of the build as far as you can kind of see what's... I was trying to get it to replicate what it just did. A very, very weird bounce. You can see, we've got the suspension pretty much as soft as it will go. That's very, very important for this in terms of getting the car up onto its side. So I shall show you what I've done with the tuning for all of these vehicles. Camber. We want maximum negative camber. You may be thinking that's a little bit odd. The reason being is if we have positive camber, let's say, you might think the vehicle will be more unstable. If it goes up onto its side, we need the car to keep having grip. With negative camber, we keep as much of the tyre in contact with the road when the vehicle's on its side. That gives it the grip to fling the car over. If you have positive camber, it doesn't work. Anti-roll bars, as I said, stick them as soft as possible. Springs, we have the springs as soft, the ride height as high as it can go, and the dampening is as soft as possible as well. And I'm hoping, that this will be enough for the station wagon. Let's just go around in circles a little bit, see if we... So this is what the Delta S4 can do, and will roll over from about... I think we've seen it roll as low as 10 miles an hour. Okay, so we can't quite just go round in a circle. You'll see how much the vehicle is... Hey, we're up on our side. It goes over. Well, kind of goes over. It gets a little stuck on its side. that works surprisingly well. I wasn't necessarily quite expecting that. Oh, that's what I was more expecting to be going on. The good old Forza Force that does seem to stop vehicles from rolling over. There we go. Yeah, it's... So, since Forza 5, the physics engine has never really been a massive fan of letting vehicles roll over. I found ways to beat it because, well, I've got to be rolling vehicles. Mainly in the wet in Forza 6, this Forza Force doesn't stop the cars from going over. However, there does seem to be an effect here. I can't believe that my first attempt we got it to properly go on its side, and now I'm just having it bounce off of the kind of the bodywork as we buck around up here. We've got to probably kind of find the perfect level of speed to be doing this. Come on, no, don't want to put down too much power. There is one of the slight tricks with any of the jelly cars that I've ever built. If you put down too much throttle, if you start spinning the wheels, that's not going to help. In fact, if you drive these cars and you spend all of your time sort of sliding it about, drifting it around, you actually stop it from ever going up on its side because it never quite gets the grip in the right direction to be grip rolling. I can't get it to go. Well, we did get it to go. We've kind of got to do it really slowly. Oh, no, it won't quite go over. I wonder if there's sort of too much bodywork catching on the floor, relatively low down. I should have paid more attention to what speed. There we go. It's a roll. It got to its roof. In fact, it probably would have been a full roll had the game not reset it. Jelly car. We have a proper jelly car. It is here. It works, and it does it in the dry, which is actually quite good going for something. Now, I am just going to, if we go into cars, we're going to tune car. I'm just going to mess around with the anti-roll bars. As I said, sometimes vehicles actually work better with very, very stiff anti-roll bars. This is kind of a weird, these vehicles are fairly, in fact, very weird, because you need a certain amount of stiffness to once the car's up on its side for it to keep going and not just sort of flex itself out through the chassis. But then you do also need plenty of softness going on because you need it to actually get up on its side in the first place. Yeah, so anti-roll bars, as you can see here now, are, well, the car is drivable. I say drivable, it's very, very powerful, very sideways station wagon. However, yeah, I think anti-roll bars are perhaps the most important part of this sort of building. Okay, that is new to Horizon 3, I think. There's obviously something different working in all of this. Because, yeah, I have had, I think it's the Mercedes G-Wagon in Horizon 2 that if you stuck the anti-roll bars incredibly stiff, that is what helped it go over. So put the anti-roll bars back to being very soft. And I'm just going to see what it's like, because I can experiment with this. Here we'll stick the springs to their stiffest setting and see which made the most difference in terms of stopping the car from going up onto its side. It's about even, actually. Okay, so yeah, you're gonna have to have it. It does still. Oh no. Okay. Yeah, so the anti-roll bars are the very, very critical thing in this, because with the stiff suspension, while it's horrendous to drive, watching the back of it bounce around, while it is, yeah, completely and utterly, oh, hello Lexus, while it's completely and utterly horrendous to drive like this, it does still have the grip required. That was admittedly slightly helped out by a curb over there. Ah, well that is interesting. That is interesting indeed, and this, not got the biggest of tyres out of all of the vehicles, but a decently high centre of mass. Okay. We've got a proper jelly car. It rolls over. It rolls over properly. Did a complete roll. It does still get a little bit stuck on the floor. We have been seeing that from Forza vehicles. However, it can still go over, which is fantastic news now to my cars. I have set them all up in my favourites tab on here so we can find all of the vehicles again. I was having some fun with selecting cars. Now, the Ford Bronco is perhaps one of the best suited vehicles to this. One of the few vehicles that rolls over very, very easily in the dry on Forza 6. Did all sorts of stupid stuff on Forza Horizon 2. We got it to bounce around rather crazily. However, there is a little bit of a problem with these. Because Horizon now off-roading is a kind of much more significant thing, and off-roading tyres are actually quite damn beneficial for it. A lot of the SUVs that were not particularly designed with road use in mind don't have an option for race tyres. So you can have the stock compound or the off-road race tyre compound. Now, this is not a bad compound of tyre at all. If you saw my rally parts investigation, you'll know that these are not a bad compound of tyre whatsoever. In fact, it's not just SUVs. There are also sort of the rally cars. So the Opel Manta, for example, can only have... I don't even think you can change the compound of tyre on the Opel Manta. Yeah, the rally cars and so on are for... or have these tyres and can only go to these tyres in some occasions. But this is not good for building of a jelly car. Because while, yes, they are decent tyres, there isn't the ultimate grip that you get from the race tyres. It's just not there, and that means getting these things up onto their side is not good. It just doesn't work. It's not as easy. Now, I will go and check that the car is set up correctly for this. So we've got all of the negative camber. I've got the anti-roll bars set the wrong way in the Bronco. I might have been experimenting. I might have forgotten to change it back on this car. I don't know. Suspension, ride height, really very good on this. Of course, incredibly high centre of mass. Springs to the softest, and the dampening as well. So we will apply that to the Ford. Now, there will likely be plenty of body roll going on from this, but we don't have the grip. If we go inside, these things are not the most pleasant of boats to drive around when they're set up like this. Yeah, the body roll is there, and it's more than enough to roll the car. It just doesn't, sorry BMW, does not have the tyre grip. Little bit of a shame. Little bit of a shame, I'll be honest. I can't make the Bronco do crazy things, and speed isn't going to solve this problem. We simply don't have the grip. I can turn it in at whatever speed. I can put as much powerful engine as I like in this, and I could try and turn at 200 miles an hour. We're never going to have the grip to get it up onto its side. We're just going to end up skidding along the road, and we saw we can't, we get wheel spin with these. Oh, I got the front wheel off the ground. Got the front wheel off the ground a tiny amount. Now, possibly, hello Fiesta does not impede the course of the mighty Bronco. Now, possibly, if we were to bounce our way off of something, if we were to use a curb in the right place, I don't know. I haven't explored enough of the city to find out where the megaest of curbs might be. Possibly, it could go over. It's certainly, as I said, it's certainly got the it's got the centre of mass, and it's got the body roll needed, but we lack grip. That curb there's actually quite good for this. I say curb, sort of little traffic island. We'll have another go across that. Maybe it's just a random supercar going across a park. Actually, I want to turn the other way. I'm clipping it with that wheel. I clipped it with all the wrong wheels on that one. Let's go and aim it from over this side. I'm not sure it's a nasty enough curb to really get the Bronco up onto its side. Hello, can you not see EK that I was turning there? And I've got a wildly out of control vehicle. Probably not. Yeah, I don't know. We can possibly if there's an ideally positioned curb somewhere, you clip it just right. There we go, like that. But we lack the grip, and grip is so fundamental to making a jelly car work that the traditional vehicles, you can see it doing almost a stoppie when when the driver tower applies the brakes. The cutscene there. The traditional silliest of vehicles perhaps not quite work, and likewise the same goes for the Jeep Wrangler. Now this back in the Forza 4 days, many a silly thing could be done with this car, but it suffers exactly the same problem. It is, the ridiculous camber. I know these look absolutely horrendous. It's just what you have to do to make a jelly car work properly. Again, it's the ideal sort of size, ideal centre of mass in this, but we are again stuck with the only having the option for the off-road tyres, and we don't get enough grip from them. I mean, the car will do all sorts of silliness, and it will bounce and wibble around. I think this might still possibly have the standard engine going on in it. It will bounce and wibble its way around if you take it off-roading, but I can turn it as hard as I like through these corners. It's not going to roll over, which is a little bit of a shame. It is a little bit of a shame. You can do all sorts of crazy things if we can get it up to enough speed and kind of chuck it about through here and get some big airtime and some big bounces going on from it, and generally not be a particularly comfortable experience to go driving around, but no rolling. So the traditional favourites for making of jelly cars, yeah, it's the same story for most of the off-roading SUVs. Just won't be able to do as crazy as stuff. So as far as jelly cars go, you've got to be a little bit more creative with your selection of vehicles. Are we going to... Yeah, it's not quite as tough, it's just more sort of the body roll. The weight transfer going forward looks quite ridiculous on these. Right, we are going to grab next, I think we're going to... Well, the Ford has managed to roll over. We're going to go next for the Holden Ute, the first of the Utes. See if this one can manage to go for a roll. Fortunately, these do have the race tyres, as you can see, going on there amongst the incredibly dumb suspension setup. These do indeed... Oh, and now it started raining. That might help me. I'm not sure the rain has enough of an effect on Horizon to really work. Again, same settings that we've been using on the previous cars. This has got by far the most drastic of body lines. In fact, we're going to go from the inside view as we go. It's just ridiculous. It's, I think, the most impressive body lean I've seen from a vehicle ever in this. It's really very, very impressive. Oh, it does go up on its side. The body lean, I think, is actually so much in this that it kind of doesn't help us in some respects. It is so extreme. Beat the tram. It is so extreme that a lot of the kind of energy goes into moving the body rather than getting the car up onto its side. It does just about lift the wheels up. I'm kind of feeling like this might be quite close to going over at some point if we could get everything right, like so. No, it breaks traction at the critical moment in that. It just let go. It also starts bouncing around, which is, I mean, slightly less than ideal. Let's get out of the oncoming lane. This is probably the most uncontrollable of all the vehicles so far. There we go. Yep, it's onto its roof. Game likes to reset the vehicles, but I say for a roll to be complete, it must at least make its way onto its roof, and that scraped its way onto its roof before it got reset. That holds so well. That's even more impressive than the Ford. So this does require a little bit more speed. This does require a little bit more speed to get it to go over. The Ford can roll from a lower speed. So in the Ford versus Holden battle, in the terms of the jelly cars, Ford has got it. There we go. Proper full over roll. Yeah, the Holden works. The Holden works really well. Really well indeed. As I said, I'm not sure if the rain is actually allowing this to roll over. I think it is, because we're going to go for... Oh, I wish it wouldn't be so eager to reset, because that was a really elegant flip we were going to land there. I think, this rain... yeah. Okay, we got tangled on a building. Not so clever. This rain is making it easier for the car to tumble over. So... very similar story to what we saw in Motorsport. Oh, a double! We landed a double roll. Fantastic, fantastic indeed. Anything the Fords can do, the Holdens are currently trying to do better, and I think winning. I think the Holden is winning. It's a lot more spectacular with there's some stunt driving now going on with the Holden here. I was going to say, that should be an ultimate two wheels. It was seriously impressive. Whee! And land it, yes! Keep the skill chain going from That's one way to do things. I'm not sure it's the the normal way. Yeah, the Holden Ute is a full-on jelly car. Hello! Oh no. No. We've caught on the Subaru. Oh. We lost the skill chain. We rolled over on the back of the Subaru. Yep, Holden Ute. Proper jelly car indeed. The rain is helping. I'm not sure. I might actually have to very, very quickly go back and grab the... hopefully it's going to still be raining. Grab the Jeep or something, because I wonder if that now might... I wasn't actually expecting that to work, in all honesty. Wasn't expecting the rain to quite allow the vehicles to roll over considerably easier. If we back out of here really quickly, it might change weather conditions while I'm sat... Yeah, bugger, it does. Still ever so slightly damp on the ground. I don't think it's going to make enough of a difference for this anyway, because this wasn't getting up on its side to be stopped by the Forza Force, and if anything, it's going to hinder this, because there'll be even less grip sort of on the ground for it. I'm trying to think of how to make... I know what I mean, and I hope people know what I mean as well. There's less grip from the tyres in the wet, and it wasn't the... weird Forza Force stopping it from rolling over that sometimes gets removed by the rain. That wasn't the problem with those. Okay, so they're still going to probably have the issues of not being able to roll. Now, one vehicle that I did come across that was a little bit unexpected. I did try messing around with the Abarth. Didn't really work particularly well. Now, the Lancia Delta. The Delta S4 is notorious on Forza 6. I have a rolly version of the car. As I said, this is rolled at its lowest speeds. I think someone's got it about 9 miles an hour. I think I did about 14 miles an hour. Could get the car to go over. However, we take it out in Horizon 3. If we go to the tuned car, again, I'm just going to make sure everything is correct. So, maximum on the camber, anti-roll bars, springs, and dampening is how it should be on the vehicle, and we take this out here, and suddenly the Delta is now kind of planted on the road. It's still quite body rolly, but it's not even lifting the wheels off the ground. Now, yes, the Delta that I had was doing stuff in the wet. That was to stop the Forza Force from stopping the car from rolling over. This is actually now handling like a normal car, even with the crazy setup. The Delta doesn't do the, well, silliness, really. Look at it, it's practically tame going around here. So, yeah, the Holden Ute so far, the most impressive of the lot. The Delta, little bit of a letdown in some ways. It's not quite as crazy. If we get some rain, I might have to try it again. However, yeah, the fact that it's not even attempting to go onto its side, even in the dry, makes me suspect that it's not going to work. The Holden would be going on its side in the dry anyway. It's just it helps it a little bit with completing the rolls in the rain. The Delta's not even getting close. In fact, I think the Bronco was more getting up on its side than the Lancia. So, no silly Deltas in all of this one. Now, the other vehicles, the other firm favourites back from Forza Motorsport, the Vandura would indeed go over, and that is hopefully going to be the case here. It's another one that has race tyres available to it, so we're not restricted to using the off-road tyres. As we've seen, very, very helpful. The rain has come again. I think it must just sort of pick a random weather condition when you're leaving the festival. So this should now not quite go over. It gets a long way up onto its side. I'm thinking, though, we might have to go for a little bit more speed. So we can't sort of cheese the rolls at like 20 miles an hour. May have to go for, a little bit quicker. Come on, Vandura. We don't want to be spinning the wheels. That's just hindering us in terms of progress here. What about from... Oh, crap. Okay, we're having, I guess, kind of the issues that I would normally expect from rolling vehicles here. We've got to try and stop the Forza Force from keeping it on the ground. If we can time it right. I was kind of half countering it, ready for making a turn to the other side, and it started going. Basically, I fluffed that one up completely. There we go. That'll do. Everyone waiting for the tram, just spectating. I love how no one is phased by the Vandura that just tumbled past them at sort of 50 miles an hour. You know, no one paying any attention to the red Vandura going for a roll. No, you're cool to just go about your your daily lives of sitting at the tram station. Well, Vandura does work. I had a little bit of a scare going on that it was going to be just stuck on its side. But, yeah, hey, and complete it. Hey, stuck the landing. Fantastic. The Vandura will indeed tumble over. So, that's now 3 jelly vehicles that we have working. Oops. That was unintentional, but I probably should have expected it. Yeah. I'm pleased to see jelly cars are still very much a thing, despite the best efforts with the tyres being restricted for some of the vehicles. Now it just doesn't stop falling over. Always the bloody way. You want the vehicle to fall over and then it's stubborn, and then when you're trying to get back to the festival site to get something else, then it just falls over willy-nilly. Right, into the festival we go. Almost crashing our way into the festival. If only. If only we could glitch out the sort of little driving cutscenes the same way the crews massively glitch out 90% of the time. Right, back to my cars. Of course, the other firm favourites from the motorsport games, the F100. And in fact, from Horizon 2 as well. This was the easiest of vehicles to get to roll over. And if everything is behaving in the way that it is so far, I would expect this to tumble over without too much issue. In this one, it does seem to be working in a fairly similar manner. Forza Force does stop some of the vehicles from going over. Is it going to be enough to stop the F100? Nope. Nope, it is not. The F1... The F100, I think I actually didn't bother with changing the engine in this. So this is still the standard engine. This is not particularly fast at all. This vehicle, and it's still got more than no. I was going to go for a spectacular roll through the festival bit there, and I managed to bugger up the positioning of my vehicle. Oh, not quite. I think the Holden still wins in terms of spectacle. Hello, bench. I think the Holden wins in terms of spectacle because of the amount of body roll that goes into it. This is impressive and amusing. With its own falling over. I could have got a really good speed camera picture there if I timed it right. But it doesn't have the same body roll that the Holden does, and now I'm prattling around on the grass, and that's not going to help anything. Certainly, I think a little bit more speed is needed for a lot of these vehicles to get them to go over. But at the end of the day, the Ford is still going to tumble over like the silly vehicle that it is. And also, the suspension is so soft, I think you can see the wheels going through the bed ever so slightly. If we can... Yeah, I think again it's just going around the corners. It's, yeah, quite ridiculous, to say the least. But it has, I think, been surpassed by the Holden. I think the Holden Ute is the most impressive of all... No, it wasn't going to go roll over on its way into the festival anyway. It started sliding too much for it to roll. There is, of course, one last contender for this, and that has got to be the Reliant. Because, well, you know this thing is going to fall over quite easily. However, actually setting it up to be a jelly car is a little bit more difficult with this because, okay, options for tyre-wise, we can indeed go on the race compound tyres, which we have. We can, of course, only increase the rear width of these tyres. We can't do anything with the front tyre, and these have got very, very tiny tyre widths, which is not necessarily the most helpful of things. The bigger issue with this, in terms of making a full-on jelly car, is when we go into handling, we can't put on rally or race suspension. We can't tune the suspension of this one. It has to be running on the standard. If we go to sport suspension, it's too low. So we have to be running it with the standard suspension. Now, you will notice this is up in B class. I couldn't be bothered poodling around with a standard engine, so we've got the i4 motorbike engine in this one, almost 200 horsepower. Will be plenty to give us the speed required. My concern is, I don't know if Forza Force is going to want to stop us. No, Forza Force doesn't want to stop us. That's good. That's good. Immediately leave the festival and roll it over. It's whether the bodywork is going to catch on the floor too much. Kind of thinking of the pigeon from Beam at times. If we can get it up onto its side. Yeah, the bodywork, because I can't make the suspension any higher, the bodywork hits the floor. And that's not what we want. There we go. The bodywork is just scraping it along the floor. You went out of steering and you're going straight. How did I manage to roll it immediately out of the festival? And now we're having issues going on here. Maybe going around in circles? No, not particularly helpful. As peculiar. Yeah, the bodywork is just too likely to catch on the ground. We could probably go for hello, train goers or tram goers. Well, I mean, that's kind of a... It was kind of a roll. It's not quite as tumbly as I had hoped. Come on, there we go. Roof, that'll do. There we go. Done it. As expected, really, the Reliant will flip over. This is without, any adjustments to the setup. I simply can't do it. I will show you here. As I said, I went through and built these and kind of had them pre-tuned, ready to go. I can change the... I forgot I could change the rear roll bar stiffness, but everything else is locked because I can't put race parts on it. So, while all the other vehicles that have got here, the Holden, the Fords, and so on, they have had to be... Oh, the fence got angry at me and spat me out of them. Have had to be tuned to roll over. The Reliant will tumble on its... There we go. A little bit more speed, perhaps. Ooh, that's a vicious flip. That was quite impressive. The Reliant, can do it with a standard setup on the vehicle. So, I mean, it's quite entertaining to fling a Reliant around, and naturally it will, when it gets caught on the grass, it'll do some spectacular tumbles. I still think, in all honesty, the Holden Ute wins for craziness in some respects. I think it is just the more entertaining of the lot of them. I mean, the Reliant does fall over from relatively stock, but the Ute's just so much more spectacular. Uh-oh, we're going to kill a Yaris because we're not going to turn. Yeah, too much speed and too little turning, and the bodywork on the floor. Don't try and go in front of me, Audi. I'm never going to make any corners. Right, back to the festival we go. We will put the Reliant away for now and get out the victor of all of this silliness. Yep, I'm pleased with the outcomes of this. I tried to mess around with the buggy. Definitely doesn't roll. The Subaru Brat has the same problem of only having off-road tyres as an option. I think that's all of them covered. Yeah, the Abarth doesn't have enough sort of suspension movement to get up onto its side. Get the Holden, and we shall finish with the craziest, I think possibly the craziest of the jelly cars to date. I think the Holden, with its incredible body roll going on, just makes it look so much sillier just to watch it, let alone with the way that it drives. Can we go for one more tumble to finish? Now I've crowned you king of the jelly cars. You're not going to roll over. Typical. Really, and nope, we're not. Well, we can look at the insane body roll. I do wonder if it. I mean, the rain should normally hinder it from going up onto its side. Don't know, maybe. Fortunately, I cannot control the weather. Come on, Holden, just fall over so you can prove me right. I think I might be now using too much power, getting too much wheel spin with this. It does seem to be once the car's rolled over once, that it's much happier to roll over later on. Okay, Holden, and go. No, it's not having any of it. Might require rate. I don't know. Basically, jelly cars are still possible. The Ford, the F100, the station wagon, deluxe, super deluxe station wagon are all entertaining. The Holden does some interesting tricks. Most definitely does not want to be cooperative now. I think perhaps the Rain still does some odd things. Can't quite quantify it. However, it definitely does do some odd things with these vehicles. Still, they do like to get caught about on the floor, which is less than ideal. However, yeah, there are cars that will roll over. However, that is going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.